Prepare for teleport!
Welcome to Warmonger, a weekly meta chasing podcast. I don't know what meta chasing means, but I just keep saying it and no one's corrected me yet, so I don't know. It might be accurate. This week we're talking about the Wordbearers Legion, aka the Turd Bearers, because they're just terrible people. Well, and I use people loosely. On this episode to help me out is Charles from Blackbriar Gaming. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. Good to have you back.
Yeah, great to be back.
So people who listened to the 200-sode, the last part of that is the most recent thing that I recorded, that we recorded, which was Charles and I talking about the current meta, the current state of the meta, and just a whole bunch of sort of just, meta-related questions and things like that. And I've said meta a lot of times already. It's 57 seconds in. I've said meta about 57 times, so that's good. We're on track. But tell us quickly about Blackbriar Wargaming first.
Yeah, sure.
It's a YouTube thing,
channel.
right? Yep.
And it's all about essentially Horus Heresy and different rules and all the different legions and just chatting heresy rules as much as I can.
Yeah, and if you go a bit further back in your feed, though, there's other games too, right?
There is, yeah. So it actually started off as a channel called Star Wars Tabletop Gaming, and I was the first channel to get into Star Wars Legion, and I really led the way for Star Wars Legion content on YouTube to the point where Fantasy Flight Games got in contact with me and asked
Told
me
you to stop?
Invited me to do a bunch of playtesting for them.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool, and I did that for ages, but Legion just kind of conked out for various reasons. I mean, Fantasy Flight Games don't even own it anymore. It went that badly. But but Heresy 2nd Edition, I'm a long-time Heresy player, so now that Heresy 2nd Edition is out, I'm passionate about it. I've made the channel a bit more generic, because my plan too is when the old world drops, I'm going to be just balls deep in fantasy goodness coming out of GW.
Yeah, and you've got like every fantasy army, right? Well, at least, 10 of the 13? Or?
Yeah, 12.
12?
I'm up to 12.
12, holy shit.
I think there's 15 in total.
Yeah.
So I've got a few more, but I'm on my way.
Excellent. And your local opponent is Dean Morris as well, right?
It's only as Dean and I call him my hobby husband.
Yeah.
He often sends me voice recorded rants of heresy goodness, which makes it into the content on Blackbriar Gaming. So we go deep on heresy. We actually had a car trip down to a fantasy tournament, and we spent probably about 3 hours just list building the dirtiest Alpha Legion list we could.
Yeah,
we go down some pretty dark routes and go on some pretty dark hobby journeys, but we make sure we only unleash that upon each other and not the wider society.
Yeah, unless they ask for it.
Unless they want it, and then you give them what they want.
Unless they ask for it by being too boastful about their power level of their army,
or they bring Fury of the Ancients, and then they decide what they get. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, so Wordbearers Legion that we're going to cover tonight, aka the 17th. One of the bigger legions in terms of numbers. I think they were right up there with the Ultramarines, right? Like when
I want to say like 130.
130?
So not quite Ultramarine levels, but pretty big.
I thought they had like tons of dudes, like tons and tons of dudes. I know that
130 is not a small number.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
it's no Thousand Suns, that's for sure.
That's it.
But they did have those like mega ships, right? So I'm going back like over 10 years ago to when I read Battle for the Abyss. One of the
I read it recently.
Oh really? Really? Yeah.
I did, because I did a video about Ultramarines and how I don't respect their lore or anything about them besides their ridiculously good units. And people just really did not appreciate it. They took it really personally. So I made a vow to go back and read some Ultramarine lore, and some of the narrative to just see if they grew on me. They didn't. But the Wordbears, however, were doing some pretty sick shit in that book, including, as you're saying, the giant ships that they had made secretly by the Mechanicum for them.
Yeah, the Abyss class mega ships. The thing about that book that always gets me. Well, there you go. So 130,000. It's down to 129,000 after Battle of the Abyss because there's 1,000 Marines, right? Doesn't it say there's an entire chapter of 1,000 Marines?
You just know there's going to be someone in the comments who's like, guys, it was 160,000. You should be ashamed of yourself, and you're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
yeah. Well,
but no, that didn't end so well for them.
Yeah. I read that book and then I thought about it afterwards. You know when you read a book and then you get to the end and then you go, and then you think and then you sort of just replay the overall plot back to yourself and you go, what the hell? There's 40 dudes just destroy 1,000 Marines on board that ship and just clown them and swan dive into the reactor with melter bombs and stuff like that.
They're Ultramarines, right? So they're super special.
Well, yeah, there's some Space Wolves as well, I guess, to help them out.
Yeah, true.
They brought in some OP dudes.
They did.
But, now that was written, the reason I bring it up is because that was written before the contents of this, of the rules of this that are in Liber Hereticus, because I don't think I've seen a Wordbearer army that hasn't got corrupted stuff. At least half this shit in the army being corrupted ever, right? On the tabletop? Do you remember ever seeing a non-corrupted Wordbearer's army?
No, because by the time the heresy kicks off on Isfan, the Wordbearers, they've gone so far down that route that they've already got corrupted guys running wild all over the place. We hear about it. We hear the Raven Guard whinging about it all the time. Just, they're so moody. Even from the right start of the heresy, Wordbearers, they're all about corrupted. And why would you play a Wordbearers list if you didn't want to run corrupted stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. And maybe just into Leadership 6. Stubborn Leadership 6. You
live for the Leadership 6. That's your go-to.
Can't go lower, man.
Maybe. You're a big fan of Erebus.
The worst.
The worst.
Although I do have my conspiracy about him that he is the third Alfarius triplet, because
I heard that the other day. I don't know where you said it, but I was listening to something and I heard that come out of your mouth.
How is it possible?
I love it so much.
How is it possible? Just some strength 4, toughness 4 guy just clowns everybody. I don't know. The more you read about Erebus, the more you're like, how is he doing this? He's just a basic fucking dude, and he's standing in the room with Horus and the Mournival, just shouting down these dudes. What the hell? I feel like there's something more to him. Ever since I started reading the Horus Rising, etc. I've always thought there's something more to this guy, and it was literally 10 years later, probably it was earlier this year that I was like, oh, I've just figured it out. It's fucking triplets. I always thought I bet there's triplets because their symbol is the 3-headed thing, Hydra thing.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
But then suddenly I just had a moment of clarity, and I was like, it's Erebus. He's the one he did the whole thing, and I think he did it on behalf of the Emperor. And I think so anyway.
I'd be so into it.
Yeah, okay. So, large legion, we'll say large. I feel like they just were secretly recruiting more and more dudes, because they knew that they were going to have to go up against the Ultramarines, which is hilarious to imagine, Lorgar, who's such a coward, crybaby, always just, describing the tears running down his, eyelinered face and all that sort of shit. It's hilarious to imagine Horus going, okay, cool, so we're gonna do the heresy, and then he turns to Lorgar and goes, okay, you have to fight the entire Ultramarines Legion, and I think most legions, if they were told to fight the Ultramarines, would have just been hell no, that's fucking psycho shit, I don't know if there's any other legion. They did. They had
a reason. They had a reason to, right?
Yeah, to create the ruin storm, right? Oh, as well as the revenge thing, yeah. Over some city getting bombed or something, something.
Monarchia, I don't know. No one cares. Get over it, Lorgar.
Some low level shit, yeah. But yeah, the Ultramarines being just such a huge legion. Guilliman being so renowned as the great the greatest well, not the great, him and Horus, I guess. Horus's strategy and tricks there, whereas Guilliman's more of a strategy tactic.
It's pure,
player.
Just pure strategy.
Yeah, pure strats. So the fact that the word bearers went up against the Ultramarines and just like smashed them at Calth, clowned them, sacrificed tons of them, dropped fucking what are they called? Baneblades out of space, all that sort of stuff, all the good shit. It really speaks to the word bearers as a legion. Like previously, I was just like, fucking these guys, like whatever, like what's the thing? Like reading? Whoa, like fuck, like whoa, what a concept. And I never really appreciated them, but after that, I think it was Book 5, Tempest, the Black Book, I believe. It actually opened my eyes to both Ultramarines and the Word Bearers, because Ultramarines I was always just like, what were they doing? Were they just hanging out in McCrag? Out in the 500 worlds, like. Yeah. What about the throne world? What are you doing? But when you read through that story with the just insane battle that they have there, it's essential. They always say it's like the Ultramarines Istvan 5 essentially, because they just get so hammered. But managed to turn it around. But yeah. So what I'm trying to say is Ultramarines definitely like a fucking amazing legion. And extremely powerful going into the Scouring and after the Heresy, obviously, because they didn't get, other than Calth, which I just explained. Other than that, they weren't really like totally demolished like a lot of the other legions were post Terra. So they were able to go off and create all these like all these chapters and blah blah blah. So the fact that the word bearers just like handed it to them really says something about them, I think. Even though they used dirty tricks and interdimensional allies and extra planar friends and all that sort of shit.
You'd be silly if you didn't.
Yeah. Now they were, and just quickly, they were probably. Now we know that the Emperor's Children. I believe it says that the Cacophony were the first people to really sort of devolve into chaos, and sort of start breaking the veil and being corrupted and going crazy. Even though Cacophony aren't actually corrupted, right? They didn't have the corrupted subtype, but okay, that's all right.
They don't, and I'm not sure, because Erebus was already pulling his tricks to get that to happen, right? Because was
he possessing people and stuff? Or?
Oh, was he? That was the anatheme that I'm thinking of. It's the sword that Fulgrim gets, the funky one that kind of sends him down that path because it's demon infused, which I don't think Erebus had anything to do with, but he might have because he's.
The anatheme. Erebus steals it from the Interax. Remember, it's in a museum, and he goes and steals it and gives it to some like just ship captain or something, some big fat corrupted ship captain.
Yeah, but that's Horus. When
he steps Horus.
It's Fulgrim. And Fulgrim isn't corrupted before then. So I feel like Wordbearers are already doing some shifty things before the Emperor's Children even know what it means.
True. But in terms of widespread, just sort of like going down the rabbit hole, I think the Emperor's Children, and just because of their cacophony and all of that sort of like losing their mind stuff might have happened. In any case, the Wordbearers and Emperor's Children, the first guys to just like really lose the plot. I feel like maybe the word bearers sort of held it together a bit better there, and I'm not sure sort of.
Yeah, it's a bit more deliberate, right? They're in control-ish of what they're doing compared to the maniacs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually. Yeah, so the Emperor's Children just sort of like flew headfirst into chaoticianery. Whereas the word bearers were just kind of like, okay, so we've got a spreadsheet here. It's going to show how these guys are going to get possessed first, and then we're going to corrupt these guys. But in any case, word bearers in the current rules, in 2.0 and obviously in 1.0 as well, word bearers definitely leading the charge in terms of chaos, possession, and corrupted stuff. And like I said, I would have thought cacophony should have the corrupted subtype.
It'd make a lot of sense.
Just because they're fucking crazy, right?
Corrupted, if you will.
Yeah, so corrupted. And maybe they will get that at some point, but yeah, at the moment, word bearers, if you want to sort of delve into that Chaos Marines vibe, word bearers are the Legion for you. So, any other thoughts just about the Legion? I don't feel like I do a really good job of sort of like going through the fluff of these Legions. It's more like a high level thing, but is there any other observations about the word bearers that you want to
Yeah, I guess just from a lore perspective, the demon thing as well, right? So if you're into demons and that interests you, then the word bearers are just your go-to, both from a lore and a tabletop perspective. They're all about it, and just their characters are so cool. They're so interesting. They're so shifty. They've got a lot of complexity behind them. So some great depth there and some great narrative to be brought out in armies and the theme that comes out with them when you're doing word bearers.
Yeah. You got Corpharon, who's sort of the silver blackened tongue, sort of like tricking people and whispering bullshit. You got Erebus, who's just sort of like the bagman for the Chaos Guards, just sneaking around, handing out coins, and sneaking into libraries and stealing magic swords and shit like that. And then you've got people like Zardu Layak, who is just like out of their mind, has like extra eyes, has like the blade slaves, all that sort of shit. There's
an Argyltal.
Argyltal, yeah, Mr. Demon himself. Mr. Demon, Millennium 29. Killing custodes and things like that. So, stealing their magic glaive things. So yeah, actually four special characters. What the hell?
It's crazy. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, they got really good going. So in the first edition, they had, I think their rules were in book 3, which was the second part of Istvan 5. And then in book 5, when they did the which was Tempest, I believe, with the Ultramarines, they also got extra rules there as well, along with the Ultramarines. So double stack of rules, and so they seem like a decently popular army. Like it's you do kind of see them at lots of events. I was just looking at pics from a couple of events today, and both of them had at least a couple of word bearers armies. I think like because they have so many special units and special characters, they have a lot of good modeling potential. Because you can always take Zardu Layak and throw his head on someone else and put a different head on him and give his staff to some other third guy and chop them up and that sort of thing. So, and then the sort of conversion potential for the Marigal and the Galvorbak is like pretty huge as well. Like, definitely over the years, there's been some like really nice Galvorbak that have come out from various people. Real popular legion, and there's like a big subsect of people in Heresy who are Chaos Marine just fanboys. Going back to like 3.5 Codex and
yes please,
taken from us too soon, rewritten as just a total pile of shit by Jervis Johnson, in that fucking terrible book that came out after it. I had a huge Nice Marine army of just like 6-man squads with like cool blast masters and fucking possessed dreads with like cool shit. Still sore, and a lot of people still sort of harken back to that time. And then when you look at across all of the armies for Horus Heresy, word bearers are like the Chaos Marines basically at the moment. There's them and Sons of Horus, I guess. But if you want to, and if you're somebody who's into demons, definitely like word bearers, probably the first legion you want to look at. Then Emperor's Children and Sons of Horus, I guess, if you're talking about taking allies and that sort of thing. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get into the rules. So, what we're going to do is talk about the Legion rules, or Legion rule, the Warlord trait, then jump across to extra equipment, special units, talk about their special reaction, and then finish off with the Rites of War, which sort of tie the list together. The Rites of War are very interesting because they have one Rite of War that's about 7 pages long, and then one Rite of War which is just like Galvorbak troops, and they can take drop pods. The end.
That's all you need. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's right. All right, cool. So we'll talk about the word bearer special rule. It's called True Believers. And basically it says that a model with a special rule can never have its leadership characteristic modified below 6. And furthermore, if one or more models with this special rule are part of a combat that results in a draw, then the side that includes one or more models at the end of the fight subphase with this special rule, God, the wording on these things, is counted as having won the combat by 1 point. And if both sides have models with this special rule, the combat remains a draw. So that is... Oh, hold on. Sorry, just having some mic issues here as usual. that, on the face of it, I think is very similar to the Alpha Legion, where you go, 2 extra inches, who cares? Leadership can't go below 6, who cares? I think the biggest part of that is the draw, the winning a draw, because, I would say, a large proportion, and you're talking about strength 4, toughness 4 guys, and it seems to me that a lot of combats have draws. I played a game recently where every single combat, I think it was out of 8 combats or something, 6 of them were draws. And so being able to win that by 1, and not forgetting that if you've got a Legion standard, you're getting +1 to your combat res anyway. So
then you chuck fear onto it, and their leadership's down by 1. So suddenly
fear down by 1.
They're taking a leadership check at -3.
Yeah. So crazy. Wait, hold on. Does that stack there? Or would it stack? No, it would only stack to determine who wins the combat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, okay, -2, because
-2, fear and
flag would bring you to the draw situation before.
Yeah.
The rule then came into effect.
So essentially, after combat's done, you could be down by 1. Use your banner to get to a draw. Use the special rule to get to win by 1, and then because you've got fear, you're -1 leadership on top of that. So they're taking a test at -2.
Definitely, and there is another wordbearer shenanigans somewhere in here to add 1 to your combat resolution as well. I just can't remember what it was. Either it's Lorgar, might be Lorgar's Warlord.
Yeah, I think it might be Lorgar. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's I think that's really good. Not going below 6 isn't a huge thing. Remember the average on 2d6 is a 7, so you've got less of a chance of it. You don't have it's not a good chance of passing, but
it's not, and I don't love it because I don't think I want to pass that leadership check at that point. So from a shooting perspective,
want them to die.
Yeah, well, that's it. So from a shooting perspective, you don't really get to that 6 point. It's often around the 7 mark, or sometimes you get down to 6 if night fighting's sticking around, or they're pulling some fear shenanigans, and that's that. Getting below 6 from shooting is very rare, unless they're shell shocking you while pinning. But we're talking about some pretty niche circumstances here.
Shell shock 3 on a Vig. Legion Vigilator, I guess.
Yeah, that could be a thing, But the Vigilator meta, you're protected.
Yeah, and then that would take it. So if a Vigilator shoots your sergeant, takes your unit down to 7, he would normally...
It's night as well,
so
it's you're
night.
-1.
Yeah, so you'd normally be down to 6, and then you'd be taking a test at -3, so you'd be taking on 3, but then you've got the 6, so you
don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So that's it's something. But my main issue with it is if you've just been assaulted and you've just been absolutely smashed by this assault unit, you'd normally be on double 1s. You've got maybe 3 or 4 troops left. You want them to run away to then be able to come back and do some line shenanigans another time. Because most likely that unit getting smashed is a line unit because that's what your opponent's focusing. So I don't want the unit to stay in combat, and I don't want them to pass their leadership check, because then in your turn you can't shoot at the enemy unit that has assaulted you and done a whole bunch of damage to you. So what you're instead doing is sticking around, protecting them in your phase because they're stuck in assault, they're engaged, you can't shoot at them. They wipe you out in your turn, and then they're back to their turn and they get to move again, and you haven't had a chance really to wipe them out. So it's for me, I don't like that. It almost hurts you, that first part, depending on the situation. But you can build towards it, and you can be clever about it to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I think it could. Lots of people seem to run and I mean it comes down to list building, obviously, but you do see a lot of big 20-man squads with the corrupted rule. So not losing them, all of those guys.
They're corrupted. So and this is the other thing as well. So the corrupted rule subtype. Is it a subtype? I guess. Let's have a look quickly.
Subtype.
Whatever it is, it's amazing. So you don't fail morale checks with that. You just take D3 wounds.
Okay. So it doesn't even stack with that anyway.
Doesn't do anything for corrupted units. So that's why I don't love it. I don't love that part. The draw thing, look, it's going to come in handy, and it will turn losing situations into potentially, or draw situations into winning situations. So that's a thing. I'm fine with it. But that leadership bit, don't love it.
Yeah. The draw thing is what I just immediately, when I read that, I was like, oh my god, that is it's like, in fantasy when you've got a musician. For example, I've got an army which is all my units are ghouls basically, and because I can't take a musician, every time that there's a draw in combat, the other person wins by 1 because they inevitably have a musician. And that's really
good.
Yeah, it's really huge. I'm always just like, oh god damn it, ghouls, learn some fucking music. Learn some drums or pipes or something.
Just grab some bones, hit them together.
Yeah,
not that hard.
yeah. So smash some bones together. But yeah, so that will come up more than you think. Like I know, like people, it may sound like a niche thing. However, on the table, like I think that comes up quite a bit. Okay, so that is the special rule. We're going to jump past the reaction and go to the Warlord traits. Now, 3 different Warlord traits. No Loyalist only one, which is, inevitable. However, there is 2 which are unaligned, I believe.
Yep.
And then 1 Traitor one. So we'll do Enslaved by Darkness first. So this one basically... your Warlord, it can only be selected if your Warlord has the Corrupted unit subtype, which we'll get to soon, which you can basically purchase for a certain number of points. A Warlord with this trait modifies their strength and toughness determined by the game turn, +1 on game turn 1 and 2 and 3, no modifier on 4 and 5, and -1 toughness on turn 6+. So they when they're targeted by any rule that targets a demon type, the Warlord's counted as though it had that unit type. In addition, you gain an extra reaction in the movement phase. So basically, the first 3 first 3 turns of the game, you +1 strength and toughness. Turns 4 and 5, you go to normal toughness, and then that turns 6+. And I mean, it's rare that many of the new missions at least go past turn 6.
None that I've seen.
But -1 toughness, so you go down to toughness 3. So late game, that could be kind of telling, like especially if your bodyguard's just been like shredded, or I mean, you've got to be corrupted, so you fucking Praetor's probably in with Galvor back, let's face it.
Yep.
So and then on that last turn of the game, going down to toughness 3 really opens you up to instant death from something like a Volkite Culverin or Calivers or strength 7 autocannons, that sort of thing. But that +1 strength and toughness on the first 3 turns could really... I mean, it's not a huge buff, is it? What do you think? Have you used this one?
Yes and no. So
yes and no?
Yeah, it is. I think it's the weakest of the Warlord traits, but toughness 5. So I've been running a whole bunch of Galvor back with my Alpha Legion, and people every single game, that toughness 5 just absolutely stumps them because they're so used to being able to instant death all kinds of things in this game. Yep. And anything that has multiple wounds, it's in a Legion army, you can instant death with strength 8 and dreadnoughts and all kinds of things. But Galvor back, they just don't care. Like they'll just take a 10-man las cannon squad, will shoot into them and kill like one of them. You're still getting you feel no pains.
Yep.
And it's just 1 wound from a strength 9 weapon. Now the Warlord, you could use them here, and I mean it's risky, but you would use them to tank these instant death shots. You'd put them in with probably not Galvor back because you want to give this to a different unit to have the ability. So let's say you chuck them in with a command squad or a bunch of termies, and you're now tanking those instant death weapons to save your 2 wound boys and make sure on toughness 5 you get some feel no pain action in there somehow, and you don't care. You'll take a wound from a las cannon and just keep going. So I think that's the real benefit here for this Warlord trait, and that toughness 5 definitely comes into it.
So if your opponent's one of the people who's using the divination librarian to give precision shot las cannons and then sniping out your toughness 4 guy on turn 1 every time, I'm sure that's something Dean's been thinking about.
I was looking at it the other day.
You can just take this and then boom. Oh, sorry, Ultramarines guy. Oh, well, it would be really fucking crazy is the full Mentaurus Terminators with the divination guy. So you're not only you don't have to have line of sight, but also you're precision shotting on a 5 or 6, depending on which psychic power you're using. And because it's strength 8 EP2, like take your save or die.
Are they the guided missile ones?
Yeah.
I thought they were a lower strength.
No, they're strength 8. They're strength 8 AP2. I think they might have... I think the Panopticon guys did a thing where they changed it from AP2 to breaching 4+ to make it more like plasma, because it is a plasma missile. But they're so psycho, man. Especially Brutal too. Take 2 saves or die for every wound.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy, you're getting your Iron Halo save or your Cataphracti save. Then you're getting your Feel No Pain, and then even if they do get through that, I mean, if you think about a Cataphracti Praetor, they've got 4 wounds. They're getting a 4+ save. Like, it's super durable.
Yep, they're gonna tank. They're gonna tank a lot of hits.
All right, cool. Next up, we've got Unswerving Devotion. Devotion does not swerve. Any units that include at least one model with the Wordbearer special rule and have at least one model within 6 inches of a Warlord with this trait, including the Warlord himself and any unit he has joined, automatically pass. So within 6 inches of the Warlord model, and including the unit that he's in, obviously, automatically pass the first morale check or pinning test they are called upon to make each turn. In addition, any army whose Warlord has this trait gains a extra shooting phase reaction. So that one seems pretty good if you want to keep everyone super tight together and sort of be extremely hard to shift.
Yeah, well, people are going to be shooting at your Warlord, right? So you just grab your tough units, chuck it around your Warlord. Pinning is just so savage in the meta that we're in at the moment. I say facetiously, but pinning is nuts. It's all over the place, and just being able to auto pass those pinning tests, auto pass those leadership tests is just fantastic. And the shooting phase extra reaction, and that's what you want as well. That's always my favorite phase to have it. So this is Unswerving Devotion is my go-to Warlord trait for Wordbearers. I think it's fantastic, and this can affect like 4 or 5 units as well. So
yeah, and so it's each turn. So I guess you need to just remember, if you auto pass it, you need to put a token down to show that you've already used your auto pass, I guess.
There's plenty of tokens that you can use in your Wordbearers army for Dark Brethren as well. They're Rite of War. There's just tokens going everywhere.
Yeah, it's a token. It's totally a token legion. You need to grab a whole bunch of different tokens. I'm sure there's 3D files for those tokens out there somewhere.
Almost definitely.
So yeah, very interesting. It's a first morale check or pinning test they're called upon to make each turn. So morale is close combat. That seems
morale from losing 25% of your unit as well during a phase.
Yep. And then pinning checks as well, which tons of stuff that does pinning now. So that seems really good. Like I can't think of any other legion that has something so like that just allows you to auto pass tests like that, other than obviously units that have fearless.
That's it. It's pretty rare, and the Wordbearers have so many mechanics that boost their leadership and around morale checks. They just for some reason GW does not want these guys running away. They only go forward.
Yeah. I've got to say though, most times that I've played Wordbearers, or I've seen them, or been watching games, that sort of thing. They've always got that Gal Vorpak unit that's just like running off away. They've got their Mara Gals just running off away. But usually they'll have like those big like corrupted units, like some big blobs sort of sitting in their backline, just holding objectives, firing heavy weapons, blah blah blah. So if you can carefully position your guy so that you're giving that bubble to as many units as possible, and you only need to have one unit within 6 inches of the general, pretty strong. Good like fire base, and then you just send off your corrupted stuff to die because whatever, they're not lying anyway.
Corrupted can be pinned, and that's something to remember. So while it can't run away, it can be pinned. So having this to make sure your Gal Vorpak hits home is definitely worthwhile as well.
Yeah, you don't want that. Okay, and then the third Warlord trait is Iconoclast. A Warlord with this trait and any unit he's joined gain a bonus of +1 attack when locked in combat with an enemy unit that includes at least one model with the independent character special rule, a Legion Vexilla or a Legion Standard. So Legion Vexillas are available to almost every unit in the game, or infantry at least. Legion Standard is, on your command squad. Also Heralds have a Legion Standard, that sort of thing. And then when making a shooting attack or melee attack against a fortification, building, or other terrain piece with a toughness characteristic, they gain a bonus of +2 to their strength or the strength of any weapon used. Who cares about that? Like, buildings are made out of paper.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah, they're terrible.
That's it.
In addition, an army whose Warlord has this trait gains an additional reaction in the assault phase. So, interesting. The +1 attack when locked in combat with Vexilla, independent character, or Legion standard, that seems like that would get a lot of play, seeing so many units have that, or so many units have that in them, or one of those things, an independent character. That's up to 3 of those in an army. And then just like standards, just in general. I think this is a really nice fluffy one, especially it's called Iconoclast, so it kind of makes sense that they want to just like grab that standard out of the Ultramarine suzerain's hand and just throw it on the ground. The fortifications thing, not that great. But I think probably Unswerving Devotion would be like the cream out of these 3, right?
It's the go-to. It does take some thinking to make it work, whereas Iconoclast is just automatic. Everyone gets +1 attack, and you just feel good about that all the time. And you just go after their Praetor to make sure you're getting it and there's an independent character around. So you'd put him in a big, beefy unit with a bunch of guys with chainswords, 20 of them, and just get so many more attacks and just feel really great about it. But yeah, the smart player will use Unswerving Devotion, I think, to really, really good effect.
Chuck your Warlord in some Galvor back and give him 7 attacks on the charge. That could be cool as well.
Yeah, only 6. It'd only be 6.
Oh, it's only 6. Sure, I'm sure they're getting 6.
Yeah, they're 5. They're 5 usually if they charge because of rage, unless they have the one extra guy that can get the extra talons for the +1 attack, I suppose. But yeah, so to take them up to 6 attacks on the charge. Nothing to put your nose up at.
Oh well, sometimes 5 just isn't enough when they've got Murderous Strike and Rending and blah blah blah. Okay, cool. So, yeah, out of those 3, Unswerving Devotion, it definitely seems like the go-to, like, as you said. Iconoclast, maybe think about that if you've got, like, if you're this kind of person that runs, like, a big Death Star, and your Death Star's constantly coming up against other Death Stars, that like, if you're in Death Star meta,
it gives you the Death Star edge.
Yeah, it does. Definitely gives you the edge. Like, just basic Terminators having 3 attacks base.
Definitely.
Fucking crazy. And then the Enslaved by Darkness. Interesting. Now, one question before we move on. So the way that it says +1 on game turns 1, 2, and 3, no modifier, blah blah blah. Very similar to the old demon rules. Do you think there's any?
I think there'll be the new demon rules as well. I was thinking about that. Yep. I think we'll see that mechanic 100% repeated in whatever form the demon army book takes coming out soon.
Powerful. Essentially makes him a demon, like a possessed guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about... So we're going to jump past the Rights of War to the extra equip. Now, they have 2 pages of stuff.
So much good stuff. Including
the corrupted unit subtype, which I was like, oh, cool, lots of stuff has a corrupted unit subtype. I'll go and look for the rules for that. So it's on, for anyone who's listening to this, page 307 of Liber Hereticus. It isn't in the subtypes in the rulebook, is it also in Liber Hereticus subtypes? I don't think it is.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, so
nor in the rulebook itself. That has some different subtypes. There's just subtypes everywhere.
Yeah, spread across, like someone just grabbed all the subtypes and just sprinkled them like the Emperor, throwing the Primarchs through the galaxy. So yeah, it's in. So if anyone looking for this, take a note, make a note, write it on your hand or something. It's in the Armory of the Wordbearers. That is where the corrupted unit subtype is. Because I pulled out my hair, going, "What the fuck is it?" And in the end, I was like, "I can't find it. Okay, I'll just go back to reading the rules." And then I got to the end of the equipment. And I was like, "Oh, there it is." Okay, well, shit.
What a fun surprise.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, we've got Burning Law. So this is basically any Praetor who's a word bearer can take Burning Law for 25 points. They gain the Corrupted and Psycho unit subtype, as well as the Diabolism discipline. And so basically that's sending you further through the book, searching for more things. We might just do the Corrupted unit subtype now, because otherwise we're just going to have to reference things that are all over the shop. So the Corrupted unit subtype is, obviously it's a subtype, so you keep your original type, like either cavalry or infantry, blah, blah, blah. All models, or Dreadnought, all models with Corrupted unit subtype gain the Fear 1 special rule, so it's a 12-inch Neg 1 leadership bubble. Any hits inflicted on a model with a Corrupted unit subtype by a weapon with a Force or Psychic Focus special rules gain the Instant Death special rule. Now that's really important to remember, because there's the Psychic Focus is basically any of the weapon attacks. So etheric lightning or whatever it is, guided bolts and things like that. Anything that's basically you're rolling a leadership test for to do a psychic thing, as well as obviously force, which is your force weapons, gaining instant death. So regardless of the strength. So force will double your strength on your weapon, on your power sword or whatever. Pardon me. However, it'll gain instant death against anything that's corrupted, such as Marigal, such as corrupted characters, and Galvorback, for example. So definitely something you need to remember there. And that's not something that's like when you're playing against these guys, and for anyone who's playing against them, that's something that you need to remember, because a word bearer is always going to just fucking... They're not going to lie to you, but they're not going to tell you. They're just going to forget. They're going to go, oh, really? I don't even remember whether your corrupted unit subtype is. Oh, well, it's somewhere in those books. If you want to go look it up, and then you go, oh, well, I will look it up. And then you pull out your rulebook and go, oh, it's not in here. Oh, well, let's just keep going with the game. And then you forget about it entirely. And they've cheated you out of your instant death on their Marigal, whatever.
It's the word bearer way.
Yeah. It's all lies and trickery of the turd bearer. Okay, so... and then any unit composed entirely of models with the corrupted subtype is immune to the effects of the Fear X special rule, which is pretty decent. Automatically pass regroup tests, that's also pretty decent. I had a Terminator unit flee and then run to the table edge, and then next turn fail again and just run right off the table. So automatically regrouping, like just on your basic shit, very good. And you cannot choose to fail a morale check due to our weapons are useless special rule. Have you had that come up in any games yet?
Not ever.
Not ever?
Because even if you come up against Leviathan, you've still got crack grenades. So I don't. It's going to come up for Solar Auxiliary and stuff like that, but not so much for Legion troops.
Yeah. It's hard to think of any unit that doesn't have... Maybe heavy weapons squads don't get... Oh, I think even heavy weapons squads...
Pretty sure they do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Almost everyone. That's the last thing they do before they walk out the door of their Thunderhawk is just grab...
Here we go. Terminators with power weapons.
Just a basic power sword?
That's it. There's strength 4, right? But swords don't give you +1 strength.
Oh, no, it does give you rending, though.
It does give you rending.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So, I mean, power maul will make your strength... no,
that's extra strength. Yeah. We'll find a way.
Yeah, there's got to be something. Now, so they can't choose to do a morale check due to our weapons are useless. And when a unit composed entirely of models with corrupted unit subtype fails a morale check, if that for some reason happens, it does not fall back as per the standard rules, but instead suffers D3 automatic wounds with no saves or damage mitigation rolls of any kind allowed. So that could potentially be bad if you've got, like, say, 2 Terminators in a unit left and one of them is already wounded, and then you fail your check or whatever. And then you take D3 wounds.
You're going to get run down anyway, right?
Yeah.
Or at least you're running away and not doing anything. I think this is the best rule for the word bearers across the entire board. I think that that one dot point there, that fact that they just do not fail morale checks, they just take a couple of wounds instead, is just so good.
Yeah, just especially those big, like, 20-man corrupted squads. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, what was it? It was 25 points or something to gain... sorry, we'll get to... So, dark channeling... So, let me just jump to dark channeling.
We're not there yet. Which is... Almost there.
Yeah, Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, we'll finish off corrupted. Oh, jeez, jumping all over the place. There is a lot of rule stacking. This is one of those rule stacking legions. Much like... what was the last one?
Emperor's Children.
Yeah, Emperor's Children have a lot of rulesy boys stacking. So the last part of corrupted unit subtype is no model that does not also have corrupted unit subtype or the demon unit type may join a unit that includes one or more models with the corrupted unit subtype. So implying there that there may be demonic allies that you can add to a corrupted unit, which sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So now, why is that important for units? Why do I keep saying units? Why do I keep saying these corrupted 20-man squads? What the fuck are you talking about, Tim? Dark channeling is the next rule. So we've got Burning Law, which allows you to give corrupted to characters and also give them a diabolism. I think I said it right the first time.
Yeah, diabolism. Yep.
See the
but only praetors, notably.
Yeah. Oh, it is only praetors. Yeah.
Yeah, only praetors.
So it used to be that you could corrupt chaplains and things like that, right?
I think you can do it with dark channeling.
Dark channeling. Okay, so any...
Because they're infantry. Maybe.
Yeah, any unit with the traitor allegiance and the infantry or dreadnought unit unit type, as well as a Legion Astartes Wordbearer special rule, can be upgraded to dark channeling for 25. All models in a unit with this upgrade gain the corrupted unit type. Yeah, you're right. So Burning Lord...
They just don't get the Diabolism.
Yeah, they won't get the Diabolism. They won't become a Psyker, essentially. So
you're not going to have, bulk Psykers running around. Yeah.
Yeah, now, do you, being a Wordbearers player, do you run Burning Law on your Praetor every time?
I think so, just for flavor, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Why not? Corrupted is just so good. And if you want to have them hang out with corrupted units, which you totally do, then you need to take it. So, yep.
But yeah, so, and then for 25 points for a unit, you can make them all corrupted. So I think that's why you see lots of big 20-man units with this corrupted. It's a 20-man unit. It's only 25 points, so it's costing, less than 2 points per model. It's giving them the corrupted, which, as we just said, I failed a combat. Oh, fucking, I'll just run away. I don't run away. I'll just take D3 models off the table, Very,
it's spreading
very strong.
fear, just fear all across the table.
Oh, and fear as well.
Just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and this edition being like pretty, definitely like they've lowered the leaderships and they've made the, pinning is a lot better now. Shell shock being a rule, so you're reducing pinning, reducing leadership again. A bunch of other psychic shenanigans and things like that can reduce leadership, and other rules. Even just something like concussive. So if you shoot a unit within 12 inches, say you've got a corrupted recon team with shotguns, shoot within 12 inches, do a wound, and then boom, they've got to take a corrupted check at neg 1 on their leadership, just straight up because of fear. So
good.
And then potentially go down to weapon skill 3, in which case they're just easy prey for your guys. So yeah, very interesting. It's rare at the moment, and I've seen a bunch of armies. Obviously, if you just see someone's army out on a table, it's hard to know what the fuck they've got. But I have seen some a bunch of list hammer and lists and things posted, and almost everyone takes dark channeling on as much shit as they can get. I think, other than you don't see it that much on just generic dreadnoughts, because they're fearless already, so they're not really leveraging the leadership rule, the fear bubble. Yeah, and the fact that it's 25 points on a dreadnought, so it's 200 base. It's probably not as useful, but
no, just for the fear, because you got other things handing out fear, and fear doesn't stack either, so it doesn't matter if they're under numerous bubbles.
And the worst thing is, you march all the way across the table, the first 3 turns of the game, and then you just get engulfed by this, essentially fearless blob of just basic tech marines that have tac marines who've got shred. Then they've got fear, so your leadership's being bombed. They're hitting, rerolling to wound. Every combat that even if you terminators, how many can you kill in a turn? And then they're only taking D3 casualties. You only have a certain number of turns once you get to the other side of the table to trash everything, and that's if you fought your way through their Galvorback and everything else. So, the couple of games I played against them, when you finally overcome this Galvorback, and then you look at their backline, and it's all these just essentially just dudes that aren't going to run away.
Yep.
Ugh. And then any close draws, they're winning the draws. Ugh.
It's resilient in a different way to other armies.
Yeah.
Really
resilient,
cool.
but not like Death Guard resilient, like a different kind of resilient. Yeah.
A fanatical resilience, if you will, which is just so fitting.
Yeah, and relying on otherworldly allies. Okay, so tainted weapons is the next thing. Now, any model with a character subtype and Legion studies Wordbearer special rule can exchange a power weapon for a tainted version of a power weapon. This is a blade, which is a power sword, and tainted axe, which is power axe, and tainted maul, which is a power maul. It costs an additional 10 points. So however much your power weapon's costing, I think on a sergeant it's usually 5 points for a power sword, or 10 points, depending.
They can get expensive for different units.
So for an additional 10 points, basically you're getting the same weapon, except with Murderous Strike 6+. So a power sword is Strength as user AP3, melee rending 6+, but the Tainted Blade also has Murderous Strike on top of that. So yeah, Murder Strike.
Not always worth it is the answer.
Yeah, I mean,
I love them on Gavelback because you don't have to pay through the nose for them. You're not paying 25 points for this weapon or whatever it comes to. They just come stock with them. And that Murderous Strike 6+ is just insane when you've got 40 attacks going into whatever you're attacking. But whether you put this on a sergeant in a unit, probably not is my answer to that one. Because it's a lot of points to play for something that, if they're just going up against other basic dudes, might not really come up.
Yeah, I can see. I do like the power sword option because the power sword, it's AP3. So if you're fighting other non-artificer armor dudes, you can chop through them anyway, just power sword style. You've got the rending 6+ if you come up against a console or something like that. There's always a chance you roll that 6+ and rend through their artificer. This sort of adds on top of that. Now take a 5+ a die. So I do like the power sword option, I think, because you're striking an initiative, that sort of thing. The power maul, +2 strength, melee, murderous strike 6+. It's only AP3 though, so you're relying on most characters to roll a 1 on their armor save.
It's good against veterans and like Dark Furies.
Oh, true.
And, like, those niche elite units that have the 3+ save and the 2 wounds, like Ravagers. So there's a few out there, but it's a niche.
Yeah, Reavers, those sort of guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 10 points basically to put Murderous Strike 6+ on a power weapon on any character in the army. So I mean that. If nothing else, it's a good modeling opportunity because everyone loves like a weird chaosy sword.
Yeah, that's fun.
A weird giant hentai blade dripping blood or whatever. Okay, next up is the warp fire weapons. So these are essentially evil plasma guns, which is pretty funny. So any Legion of Astartes Wordbearer model can exchange a plasma pistol for a warp fire pistol for 5 points, a plasma gun or plasma blaster for a warp fire blaster for 5 points, or a plasma cannon or Gravis plasma cannon for a warp fire cannon for 5 points per model. Do not swap your fucking Gravis plasma cannon for a warp fire cannon. That's what I'm going to say straight up. Now, these are very similar. So basically, a warp fire pistol is a strength 6 plasma pistol that has pinning. A warp fire blaster is a strength 6 plasma blaster that has pinning. Actually, you know what? A warp fire blaster has 6 extra inches of range over
and you know what it doesn't have? What don't they have? The plasma has.
Gets hot. No gets hot.
No gets hot.
Holy shit. So breaching 4+ pinning.
Yeah, you know what the spicy take here is? So not only do they have pinning, which is great, so it allows you to put a pinning weapon on pretty much every single unit in your army, because every infantry sergeant can take a plasma pistol. But the real spicy take here is a Wordbearer's Moritat with 2 plasma pistols, because if you roll a 1, it doesn't stop your chain fire, because it doesn't have to get top roll.
Yeah, you're right. Ugh. Dude, I reread through these just, I think yesterday. And I read all those rules, and I was like, "Oh, why would you ever swap those plasma? Why would you do that? And like, just to get pinning? Who cares?" But yeah, you're right. I didn't even twig on the no gets hot. So, the way Moritat has a special rule basically with chain fire, where you can fire 6 shots from each weapon. However, if it has gets hot or armor bane, you have to roll them sequentially, and as soon as you roll a 1, not only does you apply the gets hot or whatever, but then it stops the shooting. Whereas this way, basically, if you have 2 warp fire pistols, you're just straight up rolling 12 dice, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, 4 pluses are breaching, and then they're taking a pinning check at the end as well.
Feels good. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen any Wordbearers Moritats though.
I don't know what people are doing. They should. That's the number one console in a Wordbearer's army that you put together.
That's an awesome choice to make like a spooky fucking plasma pistol guy too.
Yeah.
Just like
just grab the Argyle Tal model, use his wings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Sounds like you got it all worked out. Look out, Dean. Dean's gonna listen to this and go, "Oh shit, I need fucking AA or something."
It's
coming. Now the warp fire cannon though, I would not swap a Gravis plasma cannon though. A Gravis plasma cannon is a large blast plasma cannon essentially, which I think is really. I think the main benefit of a Gravis plasma cannon, and the only reason I would take that over Gravis las cannon or something, is the fact that it is a large blast, and in this new meta, I know everyone loves this word. People are because blasts aren't prevalent, and people aren't running Medusas. There's no fucking bombardments from comms guys anymore, and that sort of thing. People are just running, like, just shoveling huge blobs across the table. Like, hasn't got to the point where people aren't taking their models out of the plastic sandwich bags and just shoving the sandwich bags across the table, like 40k orc style.
That's the dream. That's peak wargaming right there.
But yeah, people. I have noticed people definitely will crowd their shit together.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't managed to leverage that because the only template shit I've got is graviton cannons, which, let's face it, they're not killing people really that much. not in the shooting, at least. Yeah. But the Gravis plasma cannon.
Scorpius is where the action's at.
Oh yeah, true.
Gravis plasma cannons. Yeah.
Yeah, and Scorpius can give breaching 4+ if it doesn't move, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So very, very decent. But yeah, the warpfire cannon, I would definitely take the Gravis plasma if my model was armed with a Gravis cannon or a plasma cannon on my dreadnought from a previous edition or something. I wouldn't swap the warpfire cannon. However, a squad of shoulder-mounted plasma cannon guys, all armed with the warpfire cannon, very good, because no gets hurt, as we said, and also
exactly. And a tactical support squad with a whole bunch of warpfire blasters, because they're assault 2 as well. So you're moving. You're getting 2 shots out to 24 inches. Yeah. You can still assault with them just for shenanigans. They're pinning. I think it's a great unit.
Yeah, and then think about when Solar Rocks finally arrive. If you've got a 10-man Warpfire Blaster squad, like, that's 20 shots, basically, that are just no armor saves, wounding on 2s, no feel, no pain, because it's strength 6, potentially. I mean, they could pull something crazy and make Solar Rocks toughness 4 or something, but
I'd be shocked.
I'd be shocked. But yeah, Warpfire, 2 shots out to 24 is so crazy, because a plasma... holy shit. So it's only 5-point upgrade, and it makes, number 1, instead of rapid fire... It takes away rapid fire, makes it assault 2, so you're getting 2 shots at the full range. You can assault after shooting it, which you can't do normally unless you have relentless. And then losing gets hot and gaining pinning. Like, holy shit.
So good.
5 points each, that seems like a steal.
Like a steal. I'd put them on veteran squads as well. They can take plasma guns. There's not many units that can take plasma guns, unfortunately. So veteran squads and your tactical support squads are probably the main ones here.
Termies as well. Termy, you can swap it.
Yeah, Termies can do it.
I think that's way better than a plasma blaster. Like, 6 inches extra range, and also losing the gets hot. Like, gets hot's such a bummer. And
I kind of love it. Too, on an assault squad, you can take. In a 10 strong assault squad, you can take 3 plasma pistols. So give them some warp fire pistols instead, and just sneak around pitting a bunch of units and just being a real pain in the ass.
Yeah. Oh man, that's like I can't stop thinking about just a super spooky Moritat now. That's so crazy. Okay, let's talk about. So the last thing, we've already done the corrupted unit subtype. So all we've got left is bolt spitters. Now I'm going to read out the rules for this bolt spitter, and then you need to tell me if this is any different to a bolt gun, because I read this and thought, who cares? But now you've told me about I didn't notice the no gets hot thing. So okay,
is there something you've missed? We're about to find out.
Yeah, here we go. So these are evil bolt guns, essentially. So so bolt spitter is range 24, strength 4, AP 5, rapid fire. Is that just a bolt gun stat?
It's 100% just a bolt gun stat.
Okay. Why did they do that then? Because it's even got the bolt weapon.
You know why? You know why they did it? It does have the bolt weapon. There must be rules out there that, in regards to bolters and being able to exchange bolters for different types of ammunition, maybe. And there were going to be some sneaky shit that someone was going to be able to pull by exchanging their bolter for something, or getting +1 to do something because it's a bolter and not a bolt spitter. And GW have said, not today, you metagaming motherfuckers.
That's not a bolt gun, that's a bolt spitter, sir. Yeah,
that's it. You can't exploit those rules because that's the issue.
Yeah, I thought maybe Fury.
Bolt spitter.
Yeah, maybe it stops you Fury, the Legioning or something. But you can't just give these to anyone. Like these are only.
It's just Galvo back.
Just Galvo back. Okay.
And maybe the Marigal. Maybe.
It's so weird. Yeah, maybe the Marigal has a a fist bolt spitter or something. But yeah, so essentially it's an evil bolt spitter. Operates exactly the same as normal bolt spitter. It actually says that it vomits forth a torrent of bolt shells propelled by a mechanism that tech priests cannot identify. Oh my god, what is it doing? How's it spitting these bolts? And then there's a greater bolt. Yeah, this is great because it's like a D&D style way of classifying things. You've got the bolt spitter and then the greater bolt spitter, just like a basilisk and a greater basilisk. So greater bolt spitter is range 48, strength 5, AP 4, heavy 6, twin linked. So that's so quad heavy bolter is heavy 8 twin linked with the same rules. This is a greater bolt spitter.
Probably not range 48.
Yeah. Gravis Heavy Bolter is 48, yeah. And a quad heavy
is it?
Yeah,
there you go.
I think a quad heavy bolter is now called a Gravis Bolt Cannon Array or some bullshit. But
of course it is.
The thing that's better about Gravis there is extra range. So you go up to 48, so Gravis, like a rapier squad. I'm looking at getting a quad heavy. Sorry, Gravis bolter heavy bolter array blah 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 thing. Just because of that 48-inch range.
Instead, you could say greater bolt spitter. How much easier would it be?
So many greater bolt spitters. So yeah, strength 5 AP4, just like a heavy bolter. It's essentially like a Gravis heavy bolter, but it's got only 6 shots, but it is twin linked. So it is interesting. A Gravis heavy bolter is heavy 8, but not twin linked, and range 48. Strength 5 AP4. So it's I mean, I don't know. Like,
what a waste of time, I think, is what sums up that entire experience. Yeah, sure.
Could have just called it a Gravis heavy bolter. Or could have just had a Gravis heavy bolter and a heavy bolter.
Just didn't need it. Didn't need this section.
Do you think that there was a line there that said any wordbearer's model can swap their bolt gun for a bolt spitter? But then it doesn't matter anyway, does it? Like, what the fuck?
Who knows? Why does it matter? I think bolt spitters at one point did something a little bit special, and GW decided Galvaback was too good, and they took it away from them, and then forgot to take out the entry.
Maybe they had twin linked, or maybe anyway. All right. So that is all of the special units. And don't forget, corrupted unit subtype is under the equipment list for some reason on page 307 of the trader book. Next, let's talk about special units, and we'll start off with the Diabolist. Got it right that time? Yes. Nice. So this is a Centurion, a console upgrade. So you can take it on a Terminator or normal Centurion. Obviously, they have to have the Wordbearer special rule. It's 25 points. They gain the Corrupted and Psychic unit subtype and gain the Diabolism discipline. So, so why the fuck would you take... Oh, okay, so... Why would you take this over... Oh, because... Oh, okay, so... Yeah,
it's only a Praetor.
Yeah, so this is really complicated. So, a Praetor, you can essentially just apply the Diabolist thing to a Praetor.
Yep.
You can also apply it to a Centurion to make them a Diabolist. But if you want to make a corrupted non-psychic, like Chaplain or Tech Marine or whatever, then you can pay 25 points, which is the same as this, and you only gain corrupted. You don't gain the psychic stuff. I mean, Diabolist also can exchange a power weapon for a force weapon and no additional points cost. So, I mean, you're getting okay. So, if you've got a character who you want to make a super spooky guy, for example, a librarian or something like that, don't do that. Just make them a Diabolist instead.
I mean, definitely don't, because the Diabolism psychic discipline is terrible.
Oh, it's terrible? Oh, okay.
No, it's trash.
All right. Okay. Well, let's look at it. So, you get the Dark and Terrible power, psychic power. So when a charge is declared for a model with this power, or for a unit that includes a model with this power, which is okay, you can choose to make a psychic check before you determine the distance of the charge. If it's successful, then the model with this power gains the Hammer of Wrath 3 special rule. And increases their strength and toughness by 1 for the duration of the soul phase.
That's okay, I guess.
So you go up to strength 5, tough 5. That's it, though. Yeah, get 3 Hammer Wrath kicks on your way in. Yeah, that's strength 5. You need
it's strength 5.
Yeah, I guess. Has Hammer of Wrath ever fucking done anything? Like, I played probably 180 games of Mechanicum in the first edition, and every single robot gets a fly kick on the way in, and then you always, it's just like, oh, well, I'll get a 3+ armor save against it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I had an assault a scout squad of mine, and it killed 2 scouts with Hammer of Wrath, and we're just like, ooh, spicy. And then, of course, the assault squad just would have torn them apart anyway. But I don't know. Yeah. He felt really good about his Hammer of Wrath attacks.
Extra fly kicks. If the check is failed, then the model suffers a perils of the warp, and once that has been resolved, then you gain +1 to your strength and toughness until the start of the controlling player's next turn anyway. So you're going to get it either way. It's just if you fail it, you don't get the Hammer of Wrath, and also some guys nearby die, because you can put those perils of the warp onto just any dude in the squad now.
Yeah. You channel it to the guy standing next to you. Just unlucky.
Yeah. Is it worth 25 points? Not sure. And then there's another power called the Hellfire Psychic Weapon, which is a template Strength 7, AP 4, Assault 1, Rending 6+, Deflagrate, and Psychic Focus. And then the Psychic Focus is basically take a check. If you pass, then you do it. If you fail it, then you take wounds and you don't do it. Yeah, and you don't do it. Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, that could be useful, the Hellfire thing. If someone's really crowded together and you're getting 11 or 12 hits, and then every 6 is a kill. It's not something you want to do against someone who has feel no pain, because they're just going to eat all those up. It's not really going to do that much. But if you're getting 12 hits, any 6 you roll is killing a dude, and then you're deflagrating, so you're getting another chance at it again. I mean, there are other psychic powers available. Let's just say that there are the psychic.
There certainly are.
There are the psychic disciplines available. I urge you to go and grab the rulebook, have a look, judge for yourself whether you think a librarian or the Diabolist is better. I think is a librarian more expensive though? The librarian upgrade?
Yes, it's 45 points instead of 25. So this is a bargain discount.
Cheaper.
Librarian.
It's like a Psycho Light. Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
You get corrupted as well. So I mean, you
do.
Yeah,
you do.
And you get a force weapon. It's like just a shittier Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, moving along.
Moving along.
You're gonna need to read those rules anyway for when you inevitably take fucking Burning Law on your general. So go and have a look at those rules. If you are write in eyeofhoruspodcast@gmail.com if you actually if you've got a Praetor and you run Burning Law just for the corrupted subtype, but you also get the psychic shit as a side thing, write in and let me know if you've ever actually done anything cool with it. I
think you always cast a Dark and Terrible power, because if you just happen to also have that Warlord trait that gives you the +1 toughness in turns 1 to 3, and then you have a Dark and Terrible power as well, your Warlord is now toughness 6.
And strength 6 with the Hammer of Wrath, so you could charge into a basic human, like a force commander from the militia or whatever, if he's on his own, because otherwise his boyfriends are going to take the hits, and you could just kick him to death on the way in. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, other psychic shit is available. Okay, so we're into the special units. Let's cover Gal Warback first. You get 5 of these guys for 275 points, so it's around just under 50 points each, and 55 points per model for extra guys. So, it's over 55, isn't it?
It's over 55. Yep,
275.
Exactly 55.
Oh, there you go.
No unit tax, which is nice. I guess they don't have a sergeant, so.
Oh, true. Yeah. No sergeant. No extra attack on the sergeant to account for cost an extra 15 points for 1 extra attack or anything, or 1 extra leadership even. So they've got a non-standard stat line. Most things either have a veteran stat line, a basic stat line, or a hybrid stat line. This is a completely different stat line. Movement 8, so same speed as a Dread. Weapon skill 5, very, very, very good in this new edition. BS4 for your bolt spitter, which they're all armed with, which is just a bolter. I'm just going don't get crazy about that. Strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 3. So remember, these are infantry as well. Infantry brackets corrupted. So 3 wounds. Initiative 5, 3 attacks. Leadership 9, save 3+. Now, Leadership 9, they still need to take things like pinning and stuff like that, like you were saying, because Corrupted doesn't negate that. Once they're in combat, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just doing D3 wounds, which potentially doesn't even kill a guy, like a single model.
Shock horror though, you're not going to lose combat.
Yeah. Well,
let's just throw that out.
I can attest to that. Yeah. Now they have a bolt spitter, tainted talons, frag grenades, crack grenades. Somehow they're able to pull the pin on a crack grenade, even though they've got these,
I love that. We actually checked that the other night. We're like, do they have frag grenades? And you better believe it.
Yeah. They do. They've just got basic power armor, so 3+ save. We'll just jump back a couple of pages and look at the tainted claws. So the tainted
talons.
Oh, tainted talons. Wait,
tainted claws are different.
Tainted.
One's a talon, one's a claw.
Oh, tainted talons.
The claw
yeah,
is
right.
only on the Margal Dreadnought.
Ah, true. Okay, so tainted talons is strength as user, which would be 5 in this case. AP 3. Oh man, what the AP 3 base? Holy shit! I've only had these guys just rip through my Terminator units like they're fucking paper. Like I can't even imagine like just a 3+ armor save group.
I did it last night. I ran them into a 20-man tactical squad, and he's like, you know what? I'm holding fast, so you don't get your +2 attacks from rage, and I still killed 8. And it felt really good.
Yeah, hitting on 3 is wounding. Hitting on 3 is take a model off on 3s basically if they don't have feel no pain.
Yep.
Just nuts. So they got melee, rending 6+, and murderous strike 6+. So that is really fucking big. Especially they've got a bucket of attacks on the charge. Every 6 that they rolled a wound, you basically. So I'll use an example. When I was playing against Harley, shout out to Harley. AKA Goth Juice on the internets. He's internet famous as Goth Juice. He charged he had Galvorback with his general in there, and I think there was like 9 or something like that, charged into my unit of 10 Terminators, and I think on the first turn they killed 9 maybe, just because it was like, here's all these 6s, every single one, every 4+ invulnerable that I fail is just a Terminator dead. Boom. Yeah. So there's like 6 dead, and then also take like 26 armor saves or something like that, and every one that you roll there is a wound off as well. So that's 6+ to wound. That's the key. Murderous strike and rending. So it's AP2, taking models off on a 6. Have you used these guys against dreadnoughts? How do they go against dreads? Have you?
They go so well.
They do.
They go so well against dreads. So you're fishing for 6s.
Yeah.
But when you're charging it, so I run 8 of them at the moment, and you're getting 40 attacks, so there's going to be some 6s that come up, and you're striking at initiative 5 before the dreadnought as well, so they do just fine, and the dreadnought's not instant killing you either, so it's going to kill in return one Galvor back. You don't care.
Yeah And if you've got feel no pain, they've got feel no pain. Okay, so there's special rules. Relentless, so they can shoot their bolt spitter and charge. Chosen warriors, so they can all accept and give out challenges if you want. Rage 2, so what's that? 5 attacks on the charge, and tainted talons doesn't give them an extra attack because it doesn't
unless you take an extra one for the one guy every 5 models.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, so you can take an extra right. Okay. Rage 2, feel no pain 5+, exceedingly good on toughness 5, especially toughness 5 with 3 wounds. Almost
good.
Almost every punching fit, like even on dreadnoughts, they're only strength 9. Even a chain fist. A chain fist has murderous strike, I think 4+.
A chain fist is strength 10. So
it's
just a tip here. If you're running up against Galvorback and you just you can't solve the problem, the answer is a dreadnought with 2 close combat weapons, one of them being the chain fist. You get the extra attack, and now you're striking at strength 10. Even though you're giving up brutal, it's worth it on these boys. And then
strength 10, I mean, how much shit in the game is strength 10, right? Like
so little, little.
Iron warriors get strength 10 against vehicles and shit, but not against on las cannons against vehicles and stuff. But strength 9 for the most part. There's a bunch of neutron, whatever they're called, neutrino lasers or whatever. That are strength 10 and maybe have concussive and stuff like that. But I mean,
Vindicators are doing it, but they're so rare and shit.
Yeah, and I mean, so a Vindicator might be one of the few things that is good against them, right? Because it's strength 12 base, so it's instant killing them. They're not getting the feel no pain against it, and it's
They're not
AP3.
getting their 3+ because it's AP3. But they're also on 40 mil bases, and you're spreading them out, so you're going to hit one or two, maybe three if you're lucky.
Yeah, and if you're playing these and you do see some Vindicators, you'll definitely be getting your little, like, remember those, like, HeroCon fucking acrylic things where it's, like, 2-inch little stick, and it's like a 6-inch long little mini ruler that's 2 inches wide, and so you can
Spread 'em out.
carefully make sure everyone's fucking 2 inches apart. That's what John Sutton does. Shout out to John Sutton from the Painting Bunker. He's a fucking fiend for that. Like, he just goes, okay, I'm going to shoot my big template against you or whatever.
Is he still playing?
Yeah.
John Sutton?
Yep.
Is he?
Yeah.
There you go. I haven't seen him for years.
He has lots of kids now, but he's still
I bet
painting.
he does.
He's still painting Zone Mortalis and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, he's one of those dudes that, like, spread his guys out, and you're just like, oh my god, even with my large blast, I can only get like 3 hits. God damn it, because you've got to have that little hole over them all.
Yep.
But yeah, so if you're running Galvorback and you see a Vindicator, boom, there you go. Because I think Medusa's only down to strength 9 now, so Medusa's not doing shit. There's very few weapons that are gonna just instant kill these guys, other than, like you said, a Chain Fist. Something with a Paragon Blade. I would say if you're fighting against these guys,
in a Knight's Cenobium, Dark Angels, they'll take them apart.
Yeah. And maybe Primarchs and things like that. But I would say just stay the fuck away from these guys and shoot your entire army at them for 2 turns to kill them, because.
But it doesn't kill them. So I had a tactical squad shoot their bolters at me, and it was 40 bolter shots or something ridiculous, and 1 wound is what I took on them. Like, shooting just does not deal with these guys if it's not strength 10.
Yeah. And toughness 5, 3+ armor save, 5+ feel net pain. Ugh, yeesh. And then whatever, like we were talking about, the rule stackering that you can do, chucking some characters in there, using we'll get to Rights of War in a minute, but yeah, and there's one particular Rite of War, the big one, the only one that people take now, really good. I mean, both of the Rights of War are extremely good for Galvorback, because one of them makes some troops, and one of them gives you +1 to 3 of their stats up to 3 times, right? So it's like, fucking holy shit. Okay, so the rest of the options are for, so 55 points for an additional 5, so you can have 10 max. For every 5 models, you can take a Flamer, a Melter Gun, a Warp Fire Blaster, or a Tainted Talons. I mean, do you remember that the old strat used to be you would teleport down 5 of them, and one of them would have a Melter Gun, and then they'd try and, like, one-shot your vehicle?
So sneaky.
Yeah.
So sneaky. Not needed.
They used to have... Did they just used to have Deep Strike? They just had Deep Strike or something, didn't they?
Did they?
I feel like they did.
I don't know.
I remember, like, the very earliest Galvorback I ever saw that were, like, brand new, like, straight out of the blisters, painted up. I remember them teleporting down right near my shit and doing risky Melter Gun. So trying to one-shot.
There were a bunch of ways to give things Deep Strike in first edition, but who knows? We'll never know, because I'm certainly not going to check. So
yeah. I burned all those books. So, along with my Mechanica mummy. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 model may exchange their Tainted Talons for one of the following: Power Weapon or Power Fist for 15 points. I mean, a Strength 10 Power Fist on a guy isn't bad.
It's not, and I do like to take just one in a unit, just when you do run up against 2+ armor saves. Sometimes the 6s just don't come up, so it's nice to have, even at initiative 1 instead of initiative 5, just those 5 power fist attacks.
Those 5 strength 10 attacks, yeah.
Hitting on 3s and wounding on 2s, just to deal the real death knell in case.
Who'd have thought those would be fucking useful? Yeah, like, and think about that, like a full 10-man squad, 2 guys with power fists. That's like 10 of those weapon skill 5 strength 10 AP 2 attacks, and
it's worth it
because you can choose which guys die. Obviously, the 2 power fist guys are going to die last. So they're going to essentially be swinging strength 10 AP2 to the grave, essentially. And then every single model has 3 wounds. So you've got to do so many wounds just to cancel out those strength 10 that are just smashing you every turn at weapon skill 5 over and over and over. Ugh, yeesh. Hey, at least they don't have... Remember they used to have like the sergeant guy and they would always have 2 power fists?
Double power fists.
They used to be called like a... They used to, Dark Martyr? Was it Dark Martyr? I think it was a Dark Martyr. And the Dark Martyr used to always... There would always be fucking word bearers players. Okay, so Expensive, but worth every point, right?
So good, so good. And they're just so different to anything else the Legion armies are running, because that toughness 5 and initiative 5. It's just, they're super different. People don't see them coming. They don't know what to do with them. And they win games. Boom. Got back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've seen a non-Galvor back army in a while. Like, and by that I mean just at least one unit of Galvor back. Like, it's rare to see more than one. And you're certainly not limited to one. They're just an elite's choice. But there'll usually be one unit, and their movement, just the fact that they're movement 8 as well, is just so crazy.
And when they're running, they're moving 13 inches because they're initiative 5.
Oh. So 2 turns of running, they've moved 26 inches across the table. So they're 2 inches into your deployment zone on turn 2.
Yep.
And they could even be further in if they've charged and consolidated and stuff, you know?
Yeah, they're charging turn 2, almost always.
No transport option. What do you suggest?
Unless you take the rite of war.
Yeah, and I mean, do you even need to? Do you need to put them in a Spartan? Like, they're not fucking...
No. They're so resilient that you can just... And they're so fast that you just run them. You just run them across the board.
Spartan is almost like... So, when I played against Harley, he had his inner Spartan, and it's almost like just wasted points, because you're paying all those points for a Spartan, but you're not using all of those las cannon shots. You're just driving. And then the closer you get to the enemy, because there's no armored ceramite anymore, they're just it's going to get smashed. I almost think like the Spartan is, and I want to do some Warmonger eps, which I might break up the 18 legions with a couple of like strategy and tactica, vehicles or something like that, or teleport assault or whatever. But I almost think like a Spartan is better for the counter assault rule, just parking it in your zone, blasting away at people with all those las cannon shots, and then when they come near, then you counter assault.
Definitely.
I don't feel like just plunging into the enemy in a Spartan is that great a choice anymore, but
no,
because there's just so much stuff that can deal with a Spartan now.
Anti-tank just got better across the board, so no, don't put them in Spartan. Just run them; they'll be fun.
Just run them, unless you're running Serrated Sun, Rite of War, which we'll get to very shortly. Okay, next up is let's just do Marigal first, because fucking it's another corrupted psycho fucking choice. So it's an elite's choice. What is a Marigal Dreadnought? It is a evil Dreadnought that's much better than a normal Dreadnought. It is movement 8, weapon skill 6, so +1 weapon skill over a normal dread. Only BS3, who cares? Don't think about that too much. Strength 7, toughness 7, wounds 8 instead of 6, so 2 extra wounds, 1 extra weapon skill.
Crazy.
Initiative 5, so they're striking before a Dreadnought. They're also hitting on 3s against a Dreadnought, and a normal Dreadnought is only hitting back on 5s against you as well.
Yep.
3 attacks based, just like a Dread. Leadership 10, 2+ armor save, just all the good Dreadnought bullshit. It's a Dreadnought brackets corrupted, so you have the corrupted thing, which is the 12-inch fear bubble, blah blah blah. Now Dreadnought is fearless, so even if you lose a combat, you don't have to take a test, which means that because you don't have to take the test, you don't have to lose the D3 wounds. Fucking suck otherwise. I mean, that would be really annoying. Don't do, you're super cheap fucking murder bot. You don't want him dying just by losing. Wow, is this thing ever going to lose a combat? That's my question. Warp Fire Cannon, which was, if you remember, that was the non-gets hot plasma cannon. Tainted Claw with built-in bolt spitter. Oh, it does have a bolt spitter. Okay, let's jump back to Tainted Claw. Tainted Claw is Strength 9, AP 2, Melee, Brutal 2, Murderous Strike 5+. So, very interesting, because it's like a combo of a Chain Fist and a Power Fist, Gravis Power Fist, but only Brutal 2 instead of Brutal 3. So,
so I think that the trade-off for getting Murderous Strike 5+, for losing 1 Brutal, I think is worth it. Just against enemy dreads, I think you come out on top with that, because you're doing, for every attack that gets through, you're doing D3 wins. Yeah,
and Brutal 2 combined with Murderous Strike 5+ means that if you roll that 5+ to wound, they have to take 2 saves, and each one that they fail is doing D3 wounds. So you could get a single...
So one attack can potentially do 6 wounds.
Yeah, you get a single one through, and then boom. If somebody's got 2 of their Dreadnoughts close to each other, you could potentially charge in and kill 2.
Yep.
Or 3? Up to 3, because
Why
you got
not?
3 attacks.
Why
Oh
not?
no, 4, because
Yeah.
you got 4 attacks. Boom. Fucking
Give an
brutal.
extra tainted claw with a bolt spitter. Suddenly you're killing 5 dreads on the charge. You give 0 shits.
Yeah, you might pre-wound one with your bolt spitter as well, and
might.
then it's easier. So they have a bevy of special rules. Legion Astartes word bearers, obviously, it will not die 5+, which is very good. Rampage 2, so if they're outnumbered, they get an additional 2 attacks. So, like the way that the rampage, the way that the outnumbering rule works is basically you charge a unit that has more than 1 model with this dreadnought, and you're getting an additional 2 attacks.
Yep, they only count as 1 model.
So
Is it?
that's
Yep.
5
Yep.
attacks, 6 attacks on the charge, just with a single fist.
Yeah, it goes up to
nuts.
7 with 2 fists. Yeah.
Oh, 7 to 2 fists. They have Shroud of Darkfire and Accursed. Shroud of Darkfire is models with Plasma, Flame, Melter, or Volkite. Has its strength reduced by 1 for wounds that are hits allocated to this model. In addition, they also gain they basically gain the 5+ invulnerable save and take D3 wounds instead of instant death.
Yeah, dreadnought stuff.
And also it means that they explode D6 plus 6 inches at
I
strength
love
8
this.
AP nothing.
I love this. You just run them deep into the enemy lines and blow them up.
Yeah.
If your enemy manages to kill them, which is unlikely. But if they do, you're then doing a huge amount of strength 8 wounds in their backline.
And instant death on those. It cancels that feel no pain. So yeah, good chance of just slaughtering mass infantry. Or even just putting hull points on light vehicles. And then Accursed, which is all models with a demon unit type or Psyker or corrupted subtype. Reduce their toughness and strength by 1 within 6 inches of a model with this special rule. Models that also have this special rule are immune to this effect. So you can still have your 2 Marigal just hanging out as a pair, as a hunting pair, and just going apeshit on people.
So they do one flank of the battlefield, and all your corrupted shit's on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they don't have the little teleport through walls move anymore.
No, they do have to walk around them.
And you know what? That teleport through walls thing was such bullshit because the rule was that they could move up to 1 inch, but the model is more than 1 inch big, so you couldn't even if a wall was 1 micron thick, you still couldn't move through it anyway. So the 1 inch thing was just horseshit. But anyway.
Yeah, but they've got move through cover and Pathfinder to kind of represent those shenanigans instead.
Yeah. So
which is great.
Move through cover. So that ignores the -2 for charging through cover and moving through cover. What does Pathfinder do?
I have no idea.
Oh shit! I have to look that up. I've got my giant rulebook here.
You look at that. I'll talk about the options.
Yeah.
So it's got a bunch of weapons. You can get bolt spitter, melter cannon, auto cannon, warp fire cannon, Gravis las cannon for 10 points. The rest are all free. So the las cannon's the only one that costs extra there. Or another tainted claw with built-in bolt spitter. I think I'm always going to take the extra tainted claw on this if I have the model available. Now the model from Forge World does come with the Warfire Cannon, and it looks super good, and it's such a unique miniature that you kind of want to keep that demony theme going. So unless you maybe buy a Chaos Dreadnought, 40k style, and grab one of the weapons out of that and chuck it on, you're probably going to stick with what it comes with. But if you're going for the most powerful option, I'd say an extra Tainted Claw just for that extra attack, because you're going to be running this guy up the battlefield. You're not really pausing to shoot with your BS3. You just want to get into combat.
Yeah. You know what Pathfinder is? Pathfinder is the rule that starts with P, but is found between Shrouded and Skyfire. In the
Okay.
The one where you look like you go to P, and then you go preferred enemy. Wait, I've gone too far. Precision shot. No, I've gone too far. No. Pinning. Outflank. Oh, no, that's too far in the other direction. So it should be between outflank and pinning. However, it is 2 pages. Wait, 1, 2, 3 pages over in the middle of nowhere. The worst thing about this is that because the rules are spread throughout the book, through the books, the first time you go looking for it, because you don't find it in the right spot, you think it's in another book, and then you look through all the books and you end up circling around. So Pathfinder is a unit with at least one model with this special rule automatically passes dangerous terrain checks.
Great. It's a thing.
Pretty
There's
good.
plenty of dangerous terrain checks out there. So, yeah, wonderful.
And because you're a dreadnought, you're susceptible to haywire. So people dumping haywire blasts on you, and then, if you've got 3 little blasts, haywires on you, they count as dangerous terrain. Then in your turn, you have to move out of them, so you'd have to roll 3d6, and any that's a 1, you take a wound with no armor. However, you just fucking ignore it, because you're a demon dread or something.
This guy doesn't. Yeah, for sure.
Partly ghost dread. Yeah, very interesting. So what do you suggest for a loadout? Like, if you want to... I was just saying while you were searching for Pathfinder that I think the extra Tainted Claw is just the way to go here, because they do have Ballistic Skill 3. That's their weakness, if you will. Yep. Unless maybe a Melter Cannon, because it's twin linked. Yep. That could be a thing. 2 shots twin linked, pretty good.
Yeah,
means you can kill a vehicle at 12 inches pretty easily. Well, not pretty easily, but 5+, it's dead essentially.
Yeah, but Tainted Claw gives you an extra attack, and that's what this guy wants to be doing.
Yeah, 7 attacks on the charge if they outnumber you, which almost is going to be almost everything except for other
almost
dreads.
Always.
Or a single Primarch or something,
Yep.
It's 8 wounds, man. And you know what the worst? It will not die as well. Holy shit. So
they're getting the wounds back. Yeah, for sure.
So in this game against Harley, I've explained how the Gal Vorback slaughtered my 10-man Terminator squad over 2 turns. The other flank was even worse, because it was 2 Mara Gals, and they came in, and so I had a unit of 5 Castellax with a Praevian and a Forge Lord in there, and they had Thunderhammers, blah, blah, blah. Castellax are only weapon skill 3, so you're only hitting Marigal on a 6, and the Marigal is hitting them on a 2, and it's also doing, whatever fucking claw you've given it. Murderous Strike 5+, Brutal 2, blah, 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 blah. Like, 1 Marigal killed all 5 Castellax and was like, and as well as the 2 characters with Thunderhammers. And I was winging Thunderhammer hits, all this shit into it. And it was just regenerating wounds every turn as well, because on a 5+, you're getting a wound back. Instant death just does D3 wounds. Not that I was getting much instant death against it. But man, one of them just did that. And then the other Marigal went into my 10-man Terminator squad, with which also had a my Iron Father in there, and in 2 turns it killed all the Terminators.
Oh my goodness!
And on the 3rd turn, it just fucking tore my Iron Father in half as well. So I was just like, holy shit! Like I fucking did like 4 wounds to both, across both of them. Just 8 wounds. It's so crazy. Holy shit!
Savage.
So yeah, Marigal's very, very good. And I mean, only 240 points. So what is that? Like, it's a few extra points. Yeah. Not even that much, really.
It's not even that much. Once you start upgrading a Contemptor, you're getting up to the 200 point mark anyway. Yeah. So these are just so fantastic.
So many like immunities and dirty tricks. That accursed as well. So the plasma and losing the strength, and like just plasma guns go from wounding on 4s to wounding on 5s. Melter guns go from wounding on 3s to 4s.
3s to 4s, yeah.
Volkite Culver, it was a Volkite as well. Yeah, Volkite. So Culverins go from 5s to 6s. Like, fucking holy shit. Yeah, really good. I would say in a meta where people are complaining about dreadnoughts, don't run too many Marigals. I'd run like one Marigal.
That's not how you make friends.
Yeah. And then the last special unit is the Ashen Circle Squad. So 125 for 5, so 25 points each, roughly. Or 25 points exactly. Or
20 points each and your tax.
Yeah, and the tax. Yeah, true. So these are these are actually modified builds. So they're 4 normal tactical marine stats except +2 attacks. They have +1 leadership, so leadership 8 on the base guys, 9 on the leaders. They're equipped with a bunch of shit. They've got a thing called an Acatic Hand Flamer, which is a template Strength 4, AP 4, Assault 1, Torrent 6-inch pinning flamer.
It's really good.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's a
bunch. The torrent makes such a difference.
Yeah, and the fact that it's strength 4 as well, like good.
Yep, not strength 3 like hand flamers, and pinning just for funsies. They're good. Yeah. For 20 points plus tax. Yeah.
An Axe Rake, which is a strength +1 AP3 melee shred. What the hell? Holy shit, that's really good. Especially 2 attacks really base, good. So 3. Is it's a hand flame? Does it have the pistol rule? It doesn't have a pistol rule. So they're only getting one attack?
Interesting.
So they're only getting
I
one
imagine
attack?
you still get the +1 attack, though. Although maybe not.
Yeah, it's not a pistol, though.
It's
Like,
not a pistol. It's an assault weapon. Okay.
Maybe that's
so
why they've
the
got
+1 attack.
That might be why they've got 2 attack space, just to make up for it. Didn't be terrible if we, didn't make them fucking strong or stronger than having 2 close combat weapons. So you're talking about 3 attacks on the charge, strength 5, AP 3, melee shred. Like, that's amazing. Like, those guys clean up, especially against other, even just against other assault marines. You're getting an armor save, they are not. So, fucking very good. Just a small squad of these, deep striking into a back line, very good for clearing things like rapiers and heavy weapon seams, because they just can't do it. What the fuck are they going to do against you?
Really good for all kinds of things, because you know what else they have? Melter bombs.
Melter bombs, yeah. Power, and then they've got the jump pack as well. So I should have mentioned that they're a jump unit. They're not. Well, they aren't a jump unit. They just have a jump pack. There's no jump units anymore for some reason. They changed that. Now, interestingly enough, I think they might be the only unit that has a Warhawk jump pack and also the heavy subtype.
Yeah, I think so. There's not many out there. So re-rolling those saves against flame template and blast weapons, really nice.
But it also means they can't run, right?
Heavy you can't run after using a jump pack anyway.
Oh, well, there you go.
Unless you're Argle Tau.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. So, yeah, so jump pack will make, so the movement 7, jump pack will make the movement 14, right?
I think so, or is it 12? I can never remember.
I think it sets it to 14. Yeah, well, we could look that up. I'm sure everyone who's running jump packs is just screaming right now, going, no.
That's it. I don't run them. I don't run jump packs.
Yeah. Me neither. Iron Hands stay firmly on the ground like a good Marine should. Now, their special rules are stubborn built in, so very, very good. Crusader. Now, Crusader is if you win a combat and you go to the thing where you roll a d6 and add your initiative, they roll 2d6 and then choose the highest and then add their initiative. So that's really good as well. They've got Bit of Duty, so that means only other units with Bit of Duty can join them, which is Moritat. So there you go, spooky Moritat.
Guy with the double, with the double plasmas.
Yeah, no, 0 gets hot Moritats. And then Scorched Earth. Scorched Earth is when a model with this special rule inflicts hits due to Hammer of Wrath, X special rule, and inflicts an additional hit. So a model with a Hammer of Wrath would inflict 2 hits. Hammer of Wrath 1 would inflict 2 hits. And all hits inflicted due to Hammer of Wrath gain, special rule, gain a bonus of +1 to their strength. So strength 5 Hammer of Wrath. Ooh.
And 2 of them.
Yeah, 2.
That's good. That's
pretty good. Pretty good.
That's a bunch of strength 5 hits coming through.
It really leans on that small squad as well, because you're getting all those just extra hits out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. The only weakness of and I think they're great. I think they're a fun little unit. They can do work. I don't think they're overpowered, but I think they're super solid. The only issue is that they're elites, and every single other unit we've talked about so far is also elite.
Yeah.
So I want to run 3 of these little squads, right, and just have them jumping around, causing absolute mayhem in my opponent's backline. But you can't because of force organization.
Well, I mean, once you've got your Marigal and your 2 fucking you got Blowback and your 2 Marigals, you've only got 1 slot left. Yeah, so you have to make some devastating choices. Like 1 Marigal, 1 Galvorback, and then 2 Ashen Circle isn't crazy, though.
Yeah,
that's not.
I think that's the way to do it.
And that's up to 20 Ashen Circle as well, so.
Yep.
Stubborn, so, Stubborn 9 with their leader, or Stubborn 8, just base. Oh, man, that is really good. And it would be, Stubborn 9 if you had a Moritat in there, right? So Moritat doesn't increase anymore. Okay, cool. So options are up to 5 additional boys for 20 points each. So the total unit would only be 225 for 10 of these guys. And imagine putting down 10 Torrent 6-inch Strength 4, AP 4 pinning flamer shots as well.
It's going to do work against anything.
Super devastating, yeah. It's just huge.
I mean, not Terminators, but besides them.
Yeah, anything that's heavy is rerolling its armor save. And
they'll be fun.
Sallies are going to mean you're only going to be Strength 3 against them, but or against other Marigal, but great way to fire. The Iconoclast can exchange his Acadic hand flamer for a Inferno pistol or a Plasma pistol, and then obviously that means that for 10, so Plasma pistol's 10 points. For an additional 10, you can gain a pinning not gets hot Plasma pistol. Kind of cool.
Only an extra 5, so 15 in total.
Oh, it's only extra. Oh, yeah, the Plasma's only 5, isn't it? Yeah. I'm thinking of the stabby sword. Iconoclast can take a Phosphex bomb, and the Iconoclast may exchange his power armor for Artificer armor for only 10 points. Might as well take that. Heavy with Artificer armor just means that if a heavy flamer squad goes, hey, time to die, and here's 46 wounds, you can just go, okay, well, I'm going to roll these one at a time with 2 plus rerollable. 2 plus rerollable is, I'm told, 97% chance of passing, so pretty good. You're going to tank a bunch of those.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Squad will be fine. So, yeah, great unit. I think they're relatively cheap as well for what they do. I mean, 225, 235 for Artificer armor. I would probably put the Inferno pistol in there for a nice 250. Inferno pistol is going to be super useful. I mean, you've got melter bombs anyway, don't you? Oh.
You do. You don't need the Inferno pistol. It's overkill. Great little squad. You're getting so much for your points.
Yeah. Just the Warger list is just insane. And those axe rakes just being like strength +1, AP3 melee shred. Like, imagine just any other unit having that. You'd be like, what the hell?
I actually a cool little strat with Dark Brethren, the Rite of War, which we'll get to soon, is +1 weapon skill. I think is one of the extra little modifiers. So you chuck +1 weapon skill on these guys with their melter bombs, and suddenly they're a great unit for taking out dreads. Just really good.
Yeah. Oh, man. Fucking so good. All right. That's special units. Let's talk about the special reaction. Now, I had this used on me very first time I ever played against word bearers, and I was like, well, I'm going to fire all of these shots. I've got 24 shots or something from Mauler cannons on my Castellax, and I'm going to throw them into a 20-man unit, and then
how'd that go for you?
Yeah, no, there was some glorious martyrdom that happened, and nothing ended up coming of it. So I don't think you read it. I think we can just give a bit of a summary of it. Exactly.
Essentially, your opponent's going to shoot a whole bunch of shit at you, and you're going to say no, thank you. You're going to remove a single model, and their shooting is done. Yeah,
and no additional rules either. So no pinning. If you've got deflagrate, you don't deflagrate on that one guy that dies. He just dies. Yep. He doesn't deflagrate into the unit. You don't take because you're not rolling to wound. Oh well, because you're just taking a model off instead of rolling to wound. You don't get anything like you don't have to take blind checks. You don't have to take concussive checks.
Now, notably, ordnance, destroyer, blast, and template weapons do ignore this reaction, so you do have to use it at the right time.
Yeah. So anything that's way to fire, like the first time someone says, "Here's my 10-man Volkite Culverin team. I'm going to fire 40 shots into you," and then they start getting their dice, you just go, "Nah, I'm going to just do this." That's a good start to the game, though, because
you let them get the dice first.
Yeah. I go, "How many dice? Have you got 40 dice? Do you need to borrow some?" And then when they're just, when they're shaking them in their two hands, like about to roll them, then you go, "Oh no, wait, I'm going to fucking glorious martyrdom."
Yep. It's the mind games. It's all about the mind games.
Yeah, it is a good way to get the game started, though, because you just do that, and then it just saves a whole bunch of time and effort, and then they move on to the next thing. They waste all of their shooting, essentially, which is a really good thing. Especially if you've got second turn, someone just does a huge broadside into you. So you've got Gal Vorbak, and somebody does manage to, put 10 las cannon hits on you or something, or they're about to fire las cannons or whatever. You just go, nah. I think that's a really good rule. Have you had any majestic uses of it? Or?
Look, every single time. There's always a great use for it. Usually you are sacrificing something pretty decent though, because people are going to want to fire those good shooting units at a squad of Terminators or a squad of Gal Vorbak. Gal Vorbak, it's very rare you would use that, because even a squad of 10 las cannons is going to struggle to put down a single Gal Vorbak, depending on what bonuses they've got to it. But throwing one Terminator, taking them away from 10 las cannon shots feels pretty good.
You know what though? If somebody has a like we were just talking about before, this is obviously a niche use, but say someone's using a diviner to put precision shot on, full Montaris or las cannon squad, and they're like, oh, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to roll this leadership test, and if I pass, then I precision shot 5, and then I'm going to shoot your general out of that Gal Vorback unit. You can just go, nah, I'll just lose a single Gal Vorback instead. And then you've wasted all of your shots. You've essentially done like 3 wounds to a Gal Vorback unit, which, it's a good exchange, especially since you don't lose your general then, and then you get to keep fucking going. And then in your turn, you can flatten that unit, Now
that's it. It's really good in a Nemesis Bolter kind of meta where people are trying to snipe out your consoles from a tac squad or a veteran squad or whatever it is, and you've got your librarian, your crutch librarian that you're relying on. You just go, nah, not going to happen. Have a tech marine. Special
rules mitigations, yeah. Now, one question though on this: do you having played it? Does this mean you can return fire on the enemy?
No. So
because this is the reaction. Yeah, this is the reaction. Yeah. Okay. Fuck. I just lost my mind there for a second. I was just like, but then you could return fire.
Give it a try. Yeah. See if you get away with it.
Yeah. See if you can. Yeah. Right. So that is the advanced reaction. Okay. All right. Silly question. Great rule. All right, let's cover the rights. Now, the rights. Now, we'll do the Serrated Sun first, because this is the easiest one, and then we'll finish off with the most glorious part of the entire fucking list, I think, which is, we'll get to that. So, last of the Serrated Sun is Gal Vorback squads can be taken as troops. They don't gain line, though. That's important to note. Gal Vorback squads in detachment using this Rite of War can take Dreadclaw drop pods. A unit comprised entirely of models with infantry who can take rhinos can now take Legion drop pods. And the limitations are you can't include anything with a movement characteristic of 0 or artillery. An army who's... you can take... as long as they've got... a unit that is movement 0, such as the Deathstorm pod, you can still take those, as long as it's got orbital assault vehicle special rule. Yep. You can't take an allied detachment if this is your primary, and cannot be used by an allied detachment.
So no ally shenanigans.
That's weird. I don't know why they didn't just say no allies, but okay. It's a bolt spitter thing. And an army that includes a detachment using this Rite of War must have the traitor allegiance. Well, yeah, no shit, Charlotte. So basically, drop podding Gal Vorback. And the Gal Vorback are troops too. So they're not line. They don't have to be your compulsory troops or anything like that. So you can still just take a normal army. It just means you can take way more Gal Vorback. And it says they may be taken as troops. So this could be the way around. This is how you get...
how you get your little mini units of Ashen Circle and still get all your Gal Vorback.
Yep. All Ashen Circle and Gal Vorback and Margals.
Yeah, I think the best thing here is... So the Dreadclaw option, super fluffy. That's fun. I don't think it's good. I think it's too expensive, and Dreadclaws now are pretty trash. Coming down with them doesn't feel great anymore because of the rules they do and don't have. They're just awkward. But I think the best part here is actually being able to give any squad that can take a Rhino a drop pod. So the drop pod Rite of War, I want to say it's called Orbital Assault, but I could be wrong. It's not good because it has so many limitations and it's so hard to build around, and you probably don't want to drop your whole army in for various reasons, but being able to just give 2 or 3 units drop pods and have them come in without all the limitations that generally go with being able to do that, I think is just really, really nice. So that's kind of the best part here.
It's kind of like the old Terror Assault, right? Where you could get Terror Assault. One of the side effects was you could also just get drop pods in everyone. So you were like, oh, that's so good. Because you don't need them on your actual terror squads because they can infiltrate anyway. Who cares? But everything else can drop pods. So yeah, you're right.
Yep. And that's with the Gal Vorback. They don't need Dreadclaw drop pods. They just run up the table because they're getting into Assault turn 2 with their ridiculous movement. So it's now just your tactical support squads and whatever else you want to drop pod in, you now can and do it really easily. So it's great.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, now, do you want to summarize Dark Brethren? Because it's like, there's one paragraph here that's about 600 words.
It's insane. So what it comes down to is you select a unit after both sides have deployed, and you choose a unit. You decide that's the sacrifice unit of your enemy, and you want to kill that unit, because if you destroy that unit, you then get to choose one of yours to get +1 strength, +1 movement, and +1 weapon skill. And you can do that 3 times to a single unit. It is just obnoxious. Now, if you don't do any damage or a wound to your sacrifice unit, you then have to take a Perils of the Warp on a random unit. Whatever, it's a couple of wounds. You don't really care, even if it goes tragically wrong and that actually happens. And if that's happening, it's probably because your opponent's hidden the unit you want to sacrifice, and therefore you're taking one of their units out of the game. So it's so good. You just pick a random rhino, right? That's just sitting out, and you decide that's my first sacrifice.
And it's after deployment, right? So you can.
After deployment.
You've infiltrated that fucking, scout unit or whatever, like really close to my shit.
So infiltrating, no. So infiltrating does happen after it.
Oh, after, okay.
Yeah, so that's why the rhino is the sweet spot, and you blow that run up, you get your first sacrifice point. Now, I'm not sure. Let's look. When do you choose the next one? Because do you get to choose it straight away, the next sacrifice unit, or do you have to wait for a bit? Including any models, join the unit destroyed, you gain the favor, and another sacrifice unit is selected from among those deployed on the battlefield at the end of that turn. So you can only get one favor token each turn, but that's all right. But essentially, these start stacking up, and weapon skill, getting +1 weapon skill is just so good with the way that the hit mechanics work. And as I said, putting them on Ashen Circle and just now being able to hunt Dreadnoughts, putting your Galvor back up to weapon skill 6, you can just do some really obnoxious stuff. And you're definitely going to get a few of these tokens throughout the game.
And can you make a Marigal weapon skill 7? You can put on a Dread?
Yeah, sure. You can put it on whatever you want. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it just says units, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just a unit. Just whatever unit you want. Now, independent characters within units gets a bit awkward. I don't think the independent character gets the benefit if you give it to a unit, but that's fine. They've got high enough weapon skill anyway. But yeah, so it's just really good.
Strength, movement, and weapon skill. So remember, we'd already stacked up to strength 6 on a Diabolist charging with the fucking, what was it? Enslaved by Darkness. So you're getting up to strength 7, 8, 9. You can get up to strength 9.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
So crazy.
And just the movement as well. You Galvor back, getting them up to movement 10, movement 11. They're doing silly things.
Yeah, imagine so a Praetor with a Paragon Blade would be strength 10 AP2. Just base, as well as weapon skill. So if you're up to +3, that's weapon. So you're up to weapon skill 9 as well. Holy shit! Yeah, dude, this is so crazy. So that game I've referenced a few times against Harley. As you can tell, I've already talked about at least 5 units that he killed. So after he killed all my Termies and my Castellax, and the 2 characters, he had all of these. His Galvor back were just out of control, like movement 9 or 10 or something like that. Oh, sorry, yeah, I think they're like movement 10. I think he put 2 on them and one of the Maragals or something. It's just so crazy.
So it is a bit of a when I'm winning, I now win more.
Yeah, it's an avalanche. Yeah.
Yeah, so which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, the smart way to do it is pick a couple of those weaker units first, knock them over nice and early, target them, make sure you build your army around this to be able to reach out in those first couple of turns to start handing these tokens in. So by the time you're into assault on turn 3, you're ready to roll.
Now, question, how do you randomize a unit to apply?
Yeah, you just have to go the good old, this tank is 1 and, this unit's 2, this unit's 3, 4, and then just roll the dice.
Luckily, I have a D12 here. Okay.
Yeah,
so there's
exactly. Actually, the tank thing's awkward with the Perils of the Warp, because Perils of the Warp can't affect a tank. So I guess you skip your tanks, but they didn't specify because, of course, they didn't.
Yeah, so the craziest thing is the effects is like half a page, and then the limitation is just if anyone unit from the detachment using this right of war must inflict at least 1 unsaved wound or hull point on the sacrifice unit in each of their turns, or the units in the detachment using this right of war selected at random. One of the units suffers a Perils of the Warp. So all you have to do is just be shooting at that unit, and I mean you're trying to wipe it out anyway, right?
Exactly. It's just 1 wound. People talk about this limitation you're gonna be taking wounds. I'm like, come on, that's on you.
Yeah,
that's on you.
What's the maximum you're gonna take? 1 randomly across your army, you're gonna take D3 through. The worst it could be is 3 wounds a turn if you don't kill one unit. That's nuts. And then the other one is just like you have to be a traitor. Like there's any limitations. It's so crazy. Ah, it's so
Which
strong.
of course you are, because you don't run word bearers to be a loyalist. So
so Dark Brethren, there's no slots changing or anything like that. Is this something you run, Dark Brethren, all the time?
Yeah, definitely.
Is
it's
there
just
any
so much fun. Like the narrative here is just so good. You're definitely taking this.
We want their souls, we want their juicy souls to power our hatred. Yeah. Oh man, it's like, it's so crazy. Yeah. Just the amount of stacks, like stacking stuff, is just so crazy. And then all of that equipment that has special rules as well. The three special units that they have so far are really good. Did they have any exemplary battle units? They don't, do they? I didn't actually check.
There must be something in there. I haven't. I've looked so briefly.
Don't need it. Who cares? Yeah, you've already used.
You don't need it.
All your elites are already full anyway. So I mean,
exactly.
So fucking good, man. All right, well, anything you want to say to sum up where the word bearers are at right now?
I think they're super underrated. They were certainly by myself, with initial kind of Legion tier lists and whatnot. But I think these guys are super powerful, and having now played a whole bunch of Garble back and had a bunch of fun with it, I realize how powerful they are. And I think they're a real sleeper hit and can do all the good things that you want to be doing in Heresy 2nd Edition. Yeah.
They're definitely like, having played against them, I think twice so far, they're definitely something I fear. And the fact that I don't have any dreadnoughts as well, like I'm painting up some dreadnoughts right now. Without dreadnoughts, even if I did have dreadnoughts,
even if you did Galvorback, Ashen Circle, and Margal all do great things against dreadnoughts.
So if you're playing against them, if they're in your meta, if they're the terror of your meta, if they're not already, then they will be. There's something that you need to play. Don't just throw down your army. I think word bearers, more than any of the legions that we've gone through so far, they're not just a legion that you can fight against like any other legion. You can't just rely on your guys being roughly the same, because a lot of their units are just so, like the Galvorback and the Marigal are just so much better than, like, first of all, like the Marigal's just better than its counterparts, and the Galvorback just don't have any sort of parallel really. Like there's no even elite Terminator unit that maybe pardon me, I'm just choking up talking about the rules. Maybe in a Circle Knight Cenobium or something, because they have a bunch of instant death. And I think
that's your one chance. But even then, you're not striking at Initiative 5.
No.
So you're still going to have to weather the storm of so many attacks.
Yeah. So definitely, if somebody throws down some Marigal against you, that's something you need to plan for. Don't try and just charge into them, and hope to just like break through with some lucky attacks or something, because they will just slaughter you. You need to concentrate fire on them. Catch them in like some massive crossfires or something like that, and really whittle them down. Try and get some bonuses against them in some way. Maybe concussive or something like that. But
blind them. Try and blind them. Although they're Initiative 5, so good luck.
Yeah. You're only blinding on a 6. God. Difficult terrain, stuff like that. You can maybe slow them a bit. Using graviton weapons and things like that. Obviously, you can't do that to the Marigal. Marigal doesn't give a shit about that.
No.
But the Galvorback, they're definitely something you cannot just go up against with your Praetor and Terminator unit.
That ends tragically. Pinning them is probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, maybe something like Fire Drakes might be able to hammer them, because you've got that 3+ invuln. You got a couple of wounds. For their normal attacks, I guess. But you're also weapon skill 5, and you have that brutal too, so you're going to do a bunch of damage. But I would say, like, even full 10-man Fire Drake unit going in, you're going to lose a bunch. It's
going to be spicy.
If you win.
Spicy combat.
Yeah, exactly. Holy shit. Awesome. All right. Well, that's what to look out for with the word bearers. Things to look out for in the real world, though. Blackbriar Gaming on YouTube. There's a link in the show notes. If you scroll down on your app or whatever the hell you're using to listen to this, scroll down to the show notes and there'll be a link in there, and you can listen to Charles do breakdowns and things on sort of the latest stuff, the latest information, and sort of up-to-date YouTube videos sort of covering what's the game as it evolves, which is really good. I really enjoy those videos. So, and the good thing about something like what Charles is doing and like Warmonger, hopefully, is that we're giving you ideas. So things you might not have thought about. Because definitely, like, just reading through this with Charles has given me a bunch of ideas. Just sort of like just recording it. So hopefully people listening at home get some good ideas. So go and check out Blackbriar Gaming, Wargaming, Blackbriar Wargaming.
No, Blackbriar Gaming. You got it.
Oh, it is Blackbriar Gaming. Okay, not Wargaming. That's too. In these modern days, it might be too confrontational. Just gaming.
Too aggressive.
Too aggressive. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Charles. Anything else you want to shout out? Have you got Instagram or anything like that, or any other?
I
social
do.
media?
So I have a little Blackbriar Instagram. I just put up hobby pics on there essentially, and photos of my battles. But yeah, no, that's it. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, it's been great. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. And yeah, it's always great. You've got some really good takes on things, I think. So it's always enjoy listening to those videos. All right.
Thank you so much. Always a treat. See you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Fully Painted is for closers.